Hey team, how's it going? This is Alex and I'm back here at No FOMO AI. You got it right. So you heard about AI assistant in Rise, right? Articulate, which is pretty much the best e-learning tool out there. It's been around for a minute and we're going to go and dive into it. So if you're ready, you're going to see some of this custom HTML and custom blocks, which are fantastic. I think it's going to change the way e-learning is done. And so we're going to see how that's done. If you're ready, let's roll. So if you're familiar with Rise, here's basically what it looks like, right? You can set up your course. It's mobile friendly. Show you that in a minute here. So for example, it's all mobile friendly. You know, it's ready to go. Not many apps can do this. Yeah, we know that Captivate could do it, but Captivate, as we know it today, is kind of dead. They're not doing anything on AI. I think Adobe moved on, fixed every other app, and Captivate, I don't know what Captivate is doing with AI, but hopefully we'll hear something cool. But regardless of the case, this was Rise. And it served its purpose. It gave you mobile learning. It was all nice and squarey, animated and stuff, bunch of settings. You can change a bunch of stuff. You can add images, interactions, all that good stuff. Okay, cool. If you knew this, then you know, hey, yeah, whatever. Boring, same as always, no issues there. But now you got this custom blocks, right? So notice there, custom block. And so the custom block changes the game because notice I was able to create this within Rise. This is not something you could do in Rise before. Yeah, a simple thing like just adding a square on top overlay on an image with the title. Yeah, it wasn't possible. So now, not only do you have that, but now what I love about this is that they added the multimedia elements. So you can add video. It's basically having your own little storyline, if you would, without the custom triggers and interactions, which I think is the part we need to think about, right? Because they have an interactivity coming here. Hopefully, I tend to think way ahead of things. Don't. I think I'm a futurist. I tend to think ahead. I'm like, all right, cool. You're gonna do that. It's gonna be like triggers. I don't know if it's gonna be like triggers or not. So if you're not recognizing the word triggers, just check at the bottom here. I'll give you a definition. But I hope it is because it will be cool. Because look, you got audio elements, like you can add a little bit of audio here now and pop it to the side, right? So, you know, if you preview this,
get ready to make an amazing shot of
so you get audio there. But not only that, if you view this in the lesson, you preview in the lesson, you actually can see the what do you call it, the transcript pop on the right. So actually I'll go in here, do this preview, right? And if you preview it, then on the right, you have the audio transcript. This is great because now with AI, you make the audio is completely made automatically. So nothing there to freak out about. Now, that's not the only cool thing. We talked about the custom blocks, and I'm gonna get in there real quick, but there's also this part, which is the HTML block. And those are the coding blocks. Coding blocks here are pretty awesome because that allow you to create now interactions like you would in Storyline. So, you know, you can use HTML, JavaScript, and CSS and make an interaction here that's kind of cool. If you were able to do things like this before in Storyline, now you can do them in Rise. So that brings the question, why do we want to keep Storyline? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what Articulate is going to do. I heard Articulate is actually adding a lot of the AI functions. I mean, AI assistant exists in Storyline. But my question is, you know, if we're doing this, what will be the use of Storyline? Because Storyline main thing is the ability for you to make custom interactions. And you're publishing this either to SCORM or XAPI. But look at this. This is an interaction sort of like what I do for escape rooms, right? You have a little bit of escape room here situation. It's not it's not finished, but all of this was just based on prompts. I went to ChatGPT and kind of gave you the prompt. Say, hey, look, I want an interaction when I click a portrait, it opens up, and I click, and it will tell me you found the hidden key, and it does that. All of this would take hours on storyline because you have to think about the layer. Not only you have to think about design, but you think about the layers. You have to think about this floating piece right here. This will take probably about 5 triggers. So it's not this is a big deal what this is doing. And I think it'll be interesting on what we're going to do next, which I'm going to in this sample. If you saw the sample that I made, right? But in this sample, we're going to go ahead and try to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to use ChatGPT, try to use images created from here, and see if it gives me the same interaction. So we'll see how that works. So we'll go to plus, right? When we go to plus, with a little plus in between here, you can add blocks. If you look at the bottom here, you can also add all those blocks. Everything's kind of made up. That's why many e-learning designers didn't like Rise when it came up, because it's all made. You just have to click, add it, and then fill it up. So, if you were a storyline developer like I was, or, a storyline designer, then you were mad because, that was used to be my thing. I used to make custom interactions like that. But look, we go here, custom block, you'll see all those blocks, and I'm going to cover those in detail. It's not so much the fun part of this. Let me get you to the meat and potatoes, which is this code stuff, right? So we go to add code, and you have the code there, or you can upload the project by itself. So this could be an option where now you set it all up and upload the project, or you can do that. So I think we'll see what happens here and how that works. But I'll try to try both approaches and see how that works. So we got the add code there. So it opens up on the side, and then you can start, doing your... Oh, and it has completion requirements too. So if you start kind of typing, it will... If you know how to code, this will make your life easier, because it will do like the editors, with the start coding and stuff. So like if I go here, whatever, start type, it will do something like that. But it seems like it would. Anyway, in this situation... Oh, completion requirements. Never mind. That's not what it is. I confused that. This is completion requirements for the course. My bad. Looking at the parent window and type complete and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't want that. Sorry, I made that up. I'll delete that. Anyway, we're not going to keep that. Okay, so we're going to go to ChatGPT, but first I want to have some assets, some images that I can use. So I'm going to use my own buddy here to create the images. I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so we're here now on ChatGPT, right? And so what I'm going to do is set up the prompt. And remember, when you do a prompt, it's a very easy thing. Make sure what is the character and characteristics that the person is going to help you with, or the chatbot is going to help you with. Because we're not really setting up any type of data or pre-training it. So it's going to be a real quick thing. We just put it in context, right? So you're an expert developer, familiar with authoring tools, like Articulate Rise. And the main point is that you provide that context, because it knows, okay, it's Rise, so it's probably going to be Bootstrap, and I'm talking about frameworks of HTML and mobile and stuff like that, right? So we'll know those things, and then pretty much explaining everything there is. So if you think about it, when you deal with a chatbot, ChatGPT, whatever it is, make sure you're basically thinking of interacting with another person. And it's not a person, but again, the whole interaction should be based on that, and that will get you the best results. So I'm giving it this prompt here, and this prompt, I will elaborate, but we'll move forward. So if you notice, what I'm trying here is a new approach. I'm basically thinking of what I'm trying to do is, like, if I was a developer, you gave me the instructions, how would that be? Again, training it like a human, right? So I'm giving it details about the images, the 2 images we talked about, and this is going to be just the door interaction, right? So it's a quick click and open a door. So change the image, and here is the result. So it gave me the code. I'm looking at the code here. It's creating a division, which is a normal thing to do. Create a division in HTML that provides that container, and it provides all the other code, but it's incorporating, if you notice, it's incorporating the images that I used and all that. Okay, so the cool thing here, I come back to this code block in Rise. It has completion requirements that you can set if you wanted to. So that's kind of cool. So you can set up completion requirements for your LMS, when you publish to an LMS. Okay, so just a quick recap for you. You have to get the 2 images, put them in a folder with your HTML file, the code that ChatGPT gave you, copy it to just open Notepad, a text file, and you have this, right? So click open. That's basically how this process works. So again, 2 files, 2 photos. The photo, this photos don't match obviously, but once you get them to match, you'll be fine. It's the same result. The thing is that in Storyline, you had to do this with multiple triggers, state changes and things like that. And it's not difficult to achieve. I'm just saying, if you don't even know how to do that in Storyline, then this is a great add-on. I think it's pretty cool. If you use Rise before, you have to recognize that this is a very cool additions. Now, not everything works as as easy as we want it, but the one thing is you have to now recognize this for myself, right? And if you're going to look here to the side of me over there or whatever, you're going to see that I'm going through another motion. This is a second task. And in this, I gave him multiple images. So basically, I did something like if you were say to a developer, hey, I got all these images, I want it in one interaction, and they're overlaid, right? The challenge with that in HTML, then you have to think about accessibility for one end, overlaying items may be an issue in terms of order, order, tab order, and things like that. Focus, they call it focus order. But regardless of that, yeah, that's an issue to address. The other part is, can the GPT with the code do the same thing? And it didn't. It couldn't do it. So, it didn't do it in this approach in the way I worked it. And I think I know why, and the main reason must be the images, right? Primarily because they will probably have to be created in some specific way for the GPT to be able to work with them. Now, I created the files, as you saw, with the AI assistant. But the question is not that. The question is whether the GPT needs a specific resolution on the images, the storage capacity, all those things that a computer will need to think about and that a human thinks about, a human that knows, that thinks about, and then we need to think about when you're working with any type of SaaS solution or a computer directly or a database. So the key point here, it didn't work, right? But there's still hope, and we're going to go after it. I'm going to come back and do it again or try to play with this because, again, what is the benefit of this? Well, there is a pleasure for me to design stuff. Obviously, every designer is going to have an issue with this in the sense of some of the pleasure is going to be gone. But that pleasure is not going away completely. The pleasure of designing and creating something is still there. It's just now in a different light. And you have to now work with the machines in a way that, it's going to take some patience, but it also can produce some pretty remarkable things that could be worth sharing. So that's my point. And anyway, thank you. Hey, happy Thanksgiving. If you love the Turkey Day, you're here in the States. Much obliged. Big hugs. As a combat veteran, salutes to you. And, saying from my family and everything else, right? My son is also a veteran. So we're really happy we're going to get together and celebrate. You have a good one as well. And we'll see you on the next video.